What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another video on the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel. Be sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when the live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Share this out. Do all the good stuff. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Just want to let you guys know we're not going to have a podcast episode out until Tuesday, the usual time, 12:30. A couple of things happened with content creators and live streaming plans that didn't really go according to plan, so that's why we're having it the buy discussion on a different day. It's just going to be me talking about some expectations post-buy, what we saw in the first half of the year and stuff like that. But we have a new video here, we have a new report out, and we're here to discuss it, and I'll get into it in just a second. But first, I want to do something a little different that we really haven't done on this channel before, and I really want to thank these guys, and this is going to be every single video that we do. I want to shout out our members. We'll start with Mr. Brad Jewis, who's always busting my balls in chat. We'll go with Jetsmith Mess next, Joe Gianpetro, Tudo Azuri, Potato, and of course, Bill Hartnett. Those guys are members of the Transparent Ones, folks. If you sign up as a member, $4.99 per month, you guys sign up, we get more members in, and we get to do a little bit more things in terms of, you know, the exclusive content, whether it's behind the scenes work, additional videos, best moments of the month. We're working through some different things, and hopefully you could be a part of the journey with us by being a transparent one. But with that being said, let's get right to the video. So, there is a new report out there that Brian Daboll may be the problem. Now, let's go over what's been going on this entire season, not necessarily just on the field, but in the locker room too. So, again, no secret to anybody. The Giants haven't been a good football team, right? They sit at 4-8, and there's a chance they could make the playoffs, but there's also a chance they have a high draft pick. And of course, it didn't go according to plan. Daniel Jones getting hurt, Darren Waller getting hurt, Saquon getting hurt, a lot of injuries, a lot of bad play, defense being up and down and whatnot. But they are a little bit more consistent than the offense. Well, actually, the offense is more consistent at being shit. So you have that. And that's obviously something that's been overstated, but overstated in the terms of everyone's gone over it. Don't need to go over it so many times because we know that's the issue with the Giants football team. Now, you go into stuff that's happened in the locker room. You have the Evan Neal hamburger statement. When he came out a few weeks back, I believe that was before the Dolphins game, and said, you know, everyone's that's critiquing me, they're the ones flipping hamburgers and hot dogs, which I don't know how you could flip hot dogs, but hey, listen, you know, we'll investigate that one another day. But anyway, that was one of the things that happened. Then he apologized maybe a few hours or even a day after that. The next one is something that's happened pretty often in the Giants locker room. That's Xavier McKinney speaking out. He spoke out last year. He spoke out the year before that, and he spoke out this year too, against the Dolphins, to where he came out and said, we're not going to blame the defense this time around. Meanwhile, they gave up almost 600 yards, if not over 600 yards, to the Miami Dolphins on offense. And nobody at that point in the season was saying the defense is so bad, the defense is so bad. No, everyone was complaining about the offense. Everyone still complains about the offense. Then he opened up about how the leaders are not being heard. And Okereke and Andrew Thomas, they're like, I don't know what his issue is. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. I don't know what his issue is, but I feel like the coaches are hearing us and all this other different stuff. And then he made another comment, I believe, a few weeks back. This was before the Commander game, I want to say. Yeah, it was before the Commander game. And he came out and criticized Wink and basically said, he said a couple of different things. I can't remember off the top of my head, but pretty much criticized Wink Martindale and wasn't happy with some of the coverages he was put into. And Wink didn't like that. Obviously Xavier McKinney was speaking out all the entire season. He's spoken out before. Could this be due to a contract issue? All that sort of stuff. So Wink comes out and says he wasn't very happy with X's comments. It's never happened to him before. He doesn't know if he's going to start the following game. And I believe that's where Brian Daboll took issue with Wink Martindale. Not just the defensive inconsistencies this season, though they've been better. And probably the best thing to happen to this football team, not the special teams, not the offense, but the defense, because they've kept us in most of the games. Buffalo, Jets, all 4 of our fucking wins, and stuff like that. But I think he wasn't happy about the way he was going to say, oh, yeah, he may not start next game, because I think Brian Daboll wanted to make that decision. And just the overall fact that he didn't like Wink going out there and putting all of the locker room stuff available to the media, and how he handled the situation with Xavier McKinney. And I get that. You really want to keep a lot of things in-house, especially when your team is playing poor and your coaching staff is coaching poor. But at the same time, Xavier McKinney has been talking all season, and Brian Daboll hasn't said anything to him. Or at least we know at this moment he hasn't. Maybe he has, and maybe he just he keeps talking. But I want to go to this clip, right? So I woke up this morning, and I saw this on Twitter, and a lot of people are reacting to it. Some believing it, some not believing it, but this was put out by a podcaster of The Volume. His name is John Middlecoff, and he's followed by a couple of different people, Daniel Jeremiah, and a lot of different folks that, are with NFL Network. Even some of the beat reporters follow him. This is what he said on the rising tensions in the Meadowlands and the Brian Daboll drama.
Some of this stuff I'm hearing on Brian Daboll is not great. That coaching staff can't stand Brian Daboll. The defensive coaching staff despises Brian Daboll. They think he's a clown. And he's a guy, and this has been reported, that he constantly is MFing the coaches. And it's one thing if you are a screamer and a yeller to yell at younger coaches or even some of your position coaches. It's another thing to constantly yelling and motherfucking Wink Martindale. You start screaming at the defense, who now for 2 years has been pretty good. Your offense is the disaster, but he doesn't even call the offense. This is not something that just happened either this year when they started losing. I was told it was awful last year. Like that building can't stand him. And when you watch that video, what did he do? Throws the ball to him, knowing the camera's on. There was no bro hug. There was no embrace. I'm just telling you, this thing in New York is a little weirder than you think.
All right, so he, in my opinion, was building some stuff, whether he heard it in the building or not, based off that Jay Glazer report, right? Against the Patriots, that morning, we all heard Jay Glazer, Wink and Daboll when butting heads, could lead to a mutual parting of the ways end of the season, or he may not finish the season as defensive coordinator. And we heard Brian Daboll in the postgame presser basically shut those rumors down, but also the next day he said, we don't know basically if Wink is going to finish the season with us. He didn't actually say that, but the reporters were constantly going at him with those type of questions, and he just said, we'll see, right? Kind of those things. But some takeaways from that video: coaching staff cannot stand Brian Daboll. Defensive coaching staff despises Brian Daboll. He's a quote-unquote clown. He's motherfucking yelling at the coaches. And also, from the post-game video that the Giants put up, he throws the ball to Wink versus New England, knowing the cameras are on him, which is pretty interesting, I'm not going to lie. Obviously after all these reports came out, and yes, the defense did an excellent job. They've done an excellent job most of the season. But after all these reports came out, that's a little interesting. And then also the edits in the video, right? I mean, you look at the original video itself and not just the clip and what we showed from John's podcast, but you see that there's edits put in, right? Obviously, they're not going to show every single thing in the world that happens in the locker room, but there are edits in between. So that obviously is going to our theory that these two do not like each other for some reason. Now, again, I talked about it in one of the podcast episodes. Could it be due to defensive strategy? Could it be due to the fact of, Xavier McKinney speaking out and Wink kind of airing out his grievances to the media about Xavier McKinney? Those are the two things, honestly, that are like top of my list in terms of what could be the issue between these two guys. But I want to talk about SeatGeek first, and then we'll go into whether these reports are true, whether Brian Daboll is the issue or not. And SeatGeek does sponsor us, as mentioned. So if you guys are going to a ball game, a tailgate, you need a parking pass, or a concert, well, $20 off SeatGeek on your entire order with the promo code Big Blue in the Bronx. Trust me, concert tickets, tailgate tickets, parking lot tickets, all that stuff is very expensive nowadays. $20 off is a gift. So $20 off your SeatGeek order with the promo code Big Blue in the Bronx. Finally, let's get into it. So are these reports true? Is Brian Daboll the issue? You have a lot of people on Twitter saying, I do believe this. And then there's the other side, of course, that says, I don't believe this. I do believe there is some tension in the building between Wink Martindale and Brian Daboll. There's no doubt about that. I think everybody in their mind believes it because Jay Glazer said it, Dan Duggan said it, and even in the clip. But here's the thing I question about John's sources, right? I don't have sources. I never claimed to have sources at all. But why are players not coming out here that have left in free agency last year and said, yeah, Brian Daboll's an a-hole? Because if you look in the video and you watch the video over again, John says this was happening last year too. How come John Feliciano and Jalen Smith and all these other guys that departed via free agency, and Julian Love too, how about those guys, right? They didn't say anything about how Daboll's a bad coach. The only thing you could maybe scrum up is Leonard Williams saying it's finally good to be playing for a contender. Now, obviously, they lost against the Cowboys, but it's a totally different entity. And he also thanked the Giants and thanked Joe Schoen for giving him an outlet to go to a contender when the Giants knew they weren't competing this year. So, personally, I think the side of the report that is true is that Wink and Daboll are not on good terms and that they could possibly be out separate ways end of the season. I don't think Brian Daboll is the issue. I don't. I think there's parts of the coaching staff he needs to get rid of. Jerome Henderson is one of the brighter spots. Bobby Johnson, got to go. Thomas McGahee, got to go. You make your decision on Mike Kafka, too, before a rookie quarterback hopefully comes in here. And also the players, right? You know, Evan Neal not playing up to par. Xavier McKinney, he's being, bratty, let's say it. He's being a brat, and he's talking, not a lot of playing, unless you go to the New England games. So I do think there's tension in the building. I don't think Brian Daboll's the problem. However, if he does get rid of Wink Martindale, like all these reports suggest, I do think he's going to turn into a problem because these players love playing for Wink. We know that. We've never seen a player, in my personal opinion, that I've seen in the 2 years we've been watching the Giants with Daboll and the coaching staff say, yeah, I love playing for Mike Kafka. I love playing for Thomas McGahee. No. Everyone, for the most part, has said, I love playing for Wink Martindale. You heard it from Jihad. You heard it from Kayvon. You heard it from all these other guys. And that would be big in the locker room, right? That would be so big if Wink Martindale leaves. And Brian Daboll would be, the instant target. He would be the instant criminal in that locker room. You got rid of our favorite coach. And, maybe they'll bring in Leslie Frazier or somebody like that. But that's a different story. Overall, I don't think Brian Daboll is the issue. He could turn into the issue if he doesn't get rid of the right coaches and doesn't bring the right personnel in here along with Joe Schoen. So for right now, I don't think these reports are true. I think he's just trying to build off of what was said by Jay Glazer and Dan Duggan about Wink and Daboll butting heads. I think he's trying to turn it into a bigger story. But again, I could be proven wrong. Like, comment, subscribe, folks. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.